What's up, everyone? This is LeetCode 67, add binary. We've done this problem in Python, but now we're going to do it in C++. So given two binary strings, A and B, return their sum as a binary string. So keep in mind we're adding binary numbers, but these are input strings, and the final output should also be a string. So let's keep that in mind. Now, I'm going to assume you know how to add binary, like on a conceptual level, because otherwise I don't even know how this problem would make any sense to you. But we'll just run through it for whatever reason in case you don't know, even though I find that a little bit strange. Right, when we add two ones, right, we get a 0 plus a carryover number. So we get something like this, right? And when there's no number left over for one of these strings, right, it's almost like if there's nothing there, it's almost like adding 0 to, so it's almost like doing 1 plus 1 plus 0 when we have something like this, right? So yeah, almost like having a 0 here. So we do 1 plus 1 plus 0, right? 1 plus 1 gives us 0, right? Again, we have another carryover, except it's right here this time. And this right here is like doing 1 plus 0 plus 0, right? And that gives us 1, and that's our final answer, 1, 0, 0, right? What we expect. Now, adding binary is pretty simple conceptually, but it is a little bit hard to understand how to do this programmatically. At least it was for me the first time, especially because these inputs are strings and your final answer has to be a string too. So now the way we're going to do this is, obviously you saw when we're adding binaries, we're working from right to left, right, when we're doing these additions. So we are going to set pointers right at the end of these strings. Okay, so we're going to say int pointer a dot size -1. We're going to get the last index, right? Same thing for b. We're going to say b dot size -1. Now there's really two steps of how we want to solve this problem. So step one is, right, is let's say we're adding stuff, right? Right, we have 1 here, we have a carryover of 1. Now if b doesn't have anything to add, right, but 1 does, we want to keep going, right? For example, after we add these two right here, right, this one and this one, B doesn't have anything left, but A does. So we want to keep going. So we're going to say while pointer A is greater than or equal to 0, or pointer B is greater than or equal to 0, right? We don't want to use and because we still want to continue adding if one of these strings still has stuff that we have to look at. So that's why we're going to use the or operator there rather than and. Okay. So that's basically step one. Basically, keep going until we look through both string A and string B. Okay. Now step two is basically after we look at string A and string B, if we have a carry left over, add it to the output string. So what this means is, like, when we add 1 and 1, right, we get 1. I'm going to separate this because this is our answer down here, right? So when we add 1 and 1, right, this shouldn't be 1, sorry, this should be 0, right? And we have this 1 here, we put a carry 1 right here, and we do 1 plus 1, we have 0, right? We have another carry, except this time it's going to be here. Now, when we're here, right, you see we've looked all through A, and we looked all through B. So we wouldn't even enter this while loop again, but we have this carry left over. So that's where we basically would do step two, which is we basically check, okay, do we have a carry left over? If yes, we're going to add it to the final output string, right? And that's how we get our final answer, okay? So let's go through this. We're going to basically have to get the digit, right? Or the pointer is pointing some point in the string, but it's a string, right? So we need to convert it to an integer. So we're going to say, if the pointer is greater than or equal to 0, meaning it's in bounds, right? We're going to basically convert that to a integer, right? Because it's a character, right? we're looking at a specific character in the string, but we need to actually convert it to an integer, which is what this is doing, right? And this is a ternary operation. So now, if you don't remember what a ternary operation is, basically what we're doing is we're just doing this, right? We're just doing this so we can write it all in one line rather than having a if-else statement or anything like that. But we're basically saying if this condition is true, meaning if a pointer for pointer A is in bounds in the string, right? Let's get that character and convert it to a integer. Otherwise, return 0, right? Because if we're not in bounds, why would we want to convert, the index A at the index -1? Why would we convert that to a string? We'd get an error, right? Because there's no such thing as an index of -1. Now the else statement would be something like, right, this first example, right? 1 + 1 is 0. Put the carry up here. This else statement is basically just this, right? Pointer B has nothing left over here, so we're just going to replace it with 0, because it's basically like doing 1 + 1 + 0. That's basically all we're doing, okay? So now let's do the same thing for B, right? Digit B, if pointer B is in bounds, right, then we're going to get the character converted to a integer. If it doesn't exist, or if it's not in bounds, then we're just going to set digit B to 0. Okay. Now int sum digit, right? We're going to add digit A to digit B. So if we have 1 and 1, right, we would get 0. But we need to add the carry, because if we have something like 1 and 1, right, that's going to give us 0, which makes sense, right? Plus a carry that gets added to the left. But if we have 1 and 1 and we have a carry, we're actually going to get 1 and then add a carry to the left. So we actually do care about a carry when accounting for addition as we go, obviously. I mean, carries are important in actually getting us the correct answer. So now we're going to obviously have to build out in output string, because our output has to be a string. So we're going to say int string answer, right? We're going to have, I'll group the integers. We're going to have a carry integer, right? It's going to be set to 0 initially, right? Digit A plus digit B plus carry, right? Now here's where we're going to add to the actual output string. So we're going to say toString, and we're going to get some digit modded by 2, right? Because if we have something like 1 + 1, right? If we're adding these two numbers, that's going to give us 2 if we add those. Obviously, it's a binary string, so we should get 1 or 0. So if we have 2 and we mod it by 2, right, we get 0, which makes sense because 1 + 1 should give us 0. Right? Whereas let's say we're adding 1 and 0, then our sum digit would be 1, and 1 mod 2 is actually not 0, it's 1, which also gives us the right answer in that case, right? So that's why we're doing this mod here. Okay, now our carry, how we're going to calculate our carry is we're going to basically take sum digit and divide it by 2, because let's say we have, right, we're adding 1 and 1, that should give us 2, right? And so when we divide by 2, right, if that's if we divide by 2, right, that's going to give us 1, which makes sense because that should be our carry. Now let's say sum digit is just, let's say our sum digit is, okay, when we're adding 1 and 1, right, again, I'm trying to explain this. Now, obviously, we're having a binary representation in our output, but we're actually adding these numbers, right? 1 and 1, and we get 2. Okay. Now, if we get 2, right, that means that we had 2 1s that we added together. So let's divide it by 2. Okay. So we get 1. Okay. If we get a 1, that means we added 1 and 1, right? Because that equals 2. So when we do 2 divided by 2, we get 1. So we know that we were adding 2 1s. That means we should have a carry left over, right? 2 divided by 2 should give us 1 as a carry. Now, let's say we were adding 1 and 0, for example. When we do 1 divided by 2, right, it's going to be 0.5, and that's going to get truncated to basically 0. So in that case, we won't have a carry, right? So that's how our carry works as expected, okay? Hope that makes sense. I think I explained it pretty well. But of course, you can always ask questions in the comments if you're confused. So now we added basically to the output. We basically added to the carry. Now let's decrease the pointers. Okay. And that's step 1, right? Building out our output and going through string A and string B. Now, we have an issue where, like I said, we might go through string A and string B and exit this while loop, but our carry has something left over. So let's account for that. So if carry is greater than 0, we're basically going to add 1 to the string. Okay. Now we have an issue, right? Right. So we have actually a third step we have to do. So I'm going to go through example 1. Okay. Now you might have noticed through our code, we're working from right to left. So when we have an output string, right, our output basically is going to do 1 plus 1 should give us, right, some digit mod 2, right? Because 2 mod 2 should give us 0. Okay. Right? Some digit is 2. 2 divided by 2 should give us 1. So we add 1 to the carry, right? Move the pointers over. Okay. This is 1 plus 1 plus 0, right? So that should give us 2. 2 mod 2 should give us 0. 2 divided by 2 should give us 1. So we have another carry, right? 1 plus 0, right? 1 mod 2 should give us 1, right? Our carry, or sorry, we actually wouldn't do that. We have a carry left over, but our pointer actually would be out of bounds at this point, right? For A and for B. So we would exit this. Carry is greater than 0. So let's add 1 to the answer output. 1. Now, this is the right answer, but it's backwards, right? So we actually have to reverse this output, okay? And that's what step 3 is. We basically have to reverse. You have to reverse the answer, okay? So we're going to do standard reverse, right? Answer dot begin, answer dot end. Okay. Now forget your semicolons like I did. Okay, not being, but begin. I had a typo. I'm sorry. Should be fine now. This problem isn't particularly hard. It's just like, I'll be honest, like the first time I encountered this solution, it was hard to wrap my mind around. I really recommend you come back to this problem and you do it more than once. It becomes very easy once you actually understand what you're doing. It can be a lot to take in at first, but that's why I wrote these steps out, right? Just to make it a little bit clearer for you what we're doing. But I don't think this is that difficult, so long as you're actually understanding what each line is doing, right? Right. If the pointer is in bounds, basically at the specific index, get the character converted to an int, right? If we're out of bounds, just return 0. And then we're basically adding digit A, digit B in the carry, right? And then we're using that, appending it to the answer, right? If we have a carry, right, we set the carry variable, move the pointers backwards, right, etc. At the end, right, if we have a carry left over, add that to the output. Then we have to reverse the string, etc. And that's it. That's the problem. But like I said, it's not a difficult problem to come up with once you understand. It's a little bit hard to wrap your mind around it, I think, just because there's quite a few things going on at once. But like, I think it's pretty simple. Just make sure you understand what each line is doing, and this problem is actually very easy. Okay. don't gloss over anything. Like, actually understand, like, why are we doing some digit mod 2? Why are we doing carry some digit divided by 2, right? When you understand these things, right, particularly these two lines, I think probably is the one that's going to throw you off the most if you are a little bit confused, which was the case for me. But once I actually sat down and I understood, okay, what is this actually doing, especially specifically these two lines, this problem is very easy. Okay, so I hope this helped, and I'll see you in the next one.